Imagine, if you will, the simple, profound joy of a sun-ripened tomato. Its skin is warm to the touch, its fragrance a sweet, earthy perfume that promises summer. Now, picture plucking that perfect tomato not from a sprawling August garden, but from a neat little setup in your kitchen in January. Snow falling outside, wind howling a winter tune, yet a little piece of summer thrives inside. This is not a far-fetched fantasy, it is the very real possibility modern gardening offers. Fresh, homegrown tomatoes all year round are within anyone's reach, regardless of where you live or how much space you have. This is a revolution in how we think about gardening. For centuries we have been tied to the seasons, our planting and harvesting dictated by the sun and the soil. We have learned to work with nature and respect its rhythms. But what if we could create our own little season? A perfect environment for plants to flourish day after day? That is what we are exploring today, bringing the garden inside, making it part of daily life, so a truly fresh tomato is never more than a few steps away. It is about empowerment, giving you tools to grow your own food in a way that is clean, efficient, and incredibly rewarding. The magic is a method called hydroponics. It may sound scientific, may be intimidating, but its principles are wonderfully simple. Instead of growing in soil, plants grow in water enriched with all the nutrients they need. Think of it as a first-class, all-inclusive holiday for your tomato plants. The appeal of hydroponics goes far beyond the simple novelty of growing without soil. It represents a fundamental shift towards a more sustainable and accessible way of living and gardening, particularly for those of us in towns and cities. Space, as we know, is often the greatest luxury. A traditional vegetable patch is a dream for many, but an impossibility for most urbanites. Hydroponic systems, however, are wonderfully compact. They can be set up on a kitchen counter, a small balcony, a spare corner of a room, or even stacked vertically up a wall. Suddenly the concrete jungle can bloom, and the smallest of apartments can become a productive oasis, bringing fresh life and food right into the heart of our homes. Furthermore, this method of cultivation is remarkably efficient with water. In a traditional garden, a great deal of water is lost to evaporation or simply drains away into the soil, far from the plant's roots. A hydroponic system, by its very nature, is a closed loop. The water is recirculated, used again and again with very little loss to the air. In fact, studies have shown hydroponics can use up to 90% less water than conventional soil-based agriculture. This is a staggering figure, and in a world increasingly conscious of its environmental footprint, it makes a powerful case for this modern approach. Beyond the practicalities of space and water, there is the matter of control. When you grow in soil, you are at the mercy of its composition. It may be too acidic, too alkaline, or lacking in essential nutrients. Pests and diseases can lurk unseen beneath the surface, waiting to strike. With hydroponics, you are the master of your plant's destiny. You provide a perfectly balanced nutrient solution, tailored specifically to the needs of your tomatoes. For anyone wishing to dip their toes into the world of hydroponics, there is no better place to start than with the Kratky method. It is the epitome of simplicity, a wonderfully passive system that requires no pumps, no electricity, minimal intervention. Imagine a container, like a bucket or a storage tote with a lid. You fill this container with your nutrient-rich water and you place your tomato seedling in a net pot that fits into a hole in the lid. The roots hang down, partially submerged in the solution. As the plant grows and drinks the water level drops, creating an ever-expanding pocket of air. This air gap provides the roots with the oxygen they need. It is a beautifully simple, self-regulating system that you can set and forget. Another fantastic option for the beginner is the deep water culture, or DWC system. This is a step up from the Kratky method but remains incredibly straightforward. Like Kratky, it involves a reservoir of nutrient solution. However, the key difference is the addition of an air pump and an air stone, the very same kind you would find in a fish tank. The air stone is placed in the bottom of the reservoir and bubbles a constant supply of oxygen directly into the water. This super oxygenated environment is like a spa for your plant's roots, encouraging vigorous growth and helping to prevent any potential root problems. It is an active system, but one that is remarkably easy to assemble and maintain. These two systems are perfect for home settings because they are inexpensive to set up and have a very small footprint. A single tomato plant can be grown in a 5-gallon bucket using either the Kratky or DWC method, taking up no more space than a small houseplant. Once you have found your feet with the simpler systems, you may feel the call to explore more advanced hydroponic techniques. The nutrient film technique, or NFT, is a popular choice in commercial horticulture, but it scales down beautifully for the home grower. In an NFT system, plants are placed in a shallow, covered channel or gully. A very thin film of nutrient solution is continuously pumped from a reservoir to the high end of the channel, flowing gently down the slope and over the tips of the plant roots before returning to the reservoir to be recirculated. This constant flow ensures the roots have access to water and nutrients, while the majority of the root mass is exposed to the air, providing excellent oxygenation. Another fascinating method is the ebb and flow system, also known as flood and drain. This system works in cycles. Your tomato plants are situated in a grow bed or tray filled with an inert growing medium, like clay pebbles or perlite. At regular intervals, a timer triggers a pump to flood the grow bed with nutrient solution from a reservoir below. The roots are allowed to soak in this solution for a set period. Then, the pump turns off, and the water drains back into the reservoir by gravity. For the truly adventurous gardener who loves technology, there is aeroponics. This is the most high-tech of all the hydroponic methods, and is a marvel of efficiency. In an aeroponic system, the plant roots hang suspended in the air within an enclosed chamber. There is no growing medium. Instead, high-pressure misters spray the roots with a fine, nutrient-rich fog at regular short intervals. Let me tell you about Sarah, a young professional in a small studio apartment in Manchester. With only a single north-facing window, a traditional garden was out. She yearned for a homegrown tomato. She started with a single Kratky jar on her desk under a small LED grow light. She chose a micro-dwarf variety, a tiny plant about a foot tall. Watching it flourish in her workspace, producing a handful of cherry-sized tomatoes, felt like a little daily miracle. It brought nature into her urban life. Then the Patel family in suburban Birmingham. With 3 young children, Mark and Priya wanted hands-on food education. They chose an ebb and flow system for their garage. The children helped assemble the kit, filled the tray with clay pebbles, and mixed the nutrients. It became a family project. The rhythmic pump flooding the tray became familiar. The kids rushed to check the tomato factory daily. Finally, David, a retired engineer on the Cornish coast, drawn to technology and efficiency, he chose aeroponics. He built a DIY system in his conservatory. He grows large, indeterminate beefsteak varieties plants that would struggle in his windy garden. The network of pipes and misters looks sci-fi, but the results are delicious and down to earth. He supplies neighbors and loves fine-tuning the system, tweaking nutrient formulas, and misting cycles to perfect the fruit. These stories show hydroponic gardening's versatility. It is not one size fits all, but a toolbox of techniques. There is a unique and profound satisfaction that comes from harvesting food you have grown yourself. It is a primal connection to the earth and its cycles. With hydroponics, this joy is no longer confined to the summer months. The ability to harvest a juicy, flavorful tomato in the depths of winter is a special kind of magic. It transforms your relationship with food and with the seasons themselves. That burst of fresh flavor on a cold, gray day is more than just sustenance. It is a reminder of growth, life, and the potential that lies within a single, tiny seed. This year-round harvest provides a consistent source of unparalleled freshness that you simply cannot buy in a supermarket. The benefits for your health and well-being are immense. When you grow your own tomatoes, you are in complete control of what goes into them. You can choose to use organic nutrients and can be certain that no harmful pesticides or herbicides have been used on your food. The fruit is picked at the absolute peak of ripeness, not harvested early and hard for a long journey to the grocery store. This means it is packed with the maximum amount of vitamins, antioxidants, and of course, flavor. Incorporating this incredibly fresh produce into your daily diet is a simple and delicious way to support your family's health. Growing your own food, even on a small scale, also has a positive impact on our planet. By producing tomatoes at home, you are reducing your food miles to zero. You are eliminating the carbon footprint associated with transportation, refrigeration, and packaging that is part of the commercial food chain. As we have discussed, the water efficiency of hydroponic systems is a significant environmental benefit. It is a small but meaningful way to contribute to a more sustainable future, making conscious choices that lessen our impact on the world's resources. Your personal garden becomes a small act of environmental stewardship. Ultimately, the joy of the hydroponic harvest is about abundance,